playing today. So let's put up that map veto ASAP and see which one I'm going to be playing on. Again, just because you played one map in the previous playday doesn't mean it's automatically banned for this next playday. That rule has been scrapped, and we're going to actually go and play on Border. I am not surprised at all that Vitality between Clubhouse and Border decide to remove Club and go to this map, as historically speaking, Vitality have been very comfortable on the map, and now you're giving them Goga and Hungry to use on Border, who are two players that are very comfortable on it. You know, Clash can come out as we used to see back when Hungry was on his Penta days. You can see a lot of Thermite play from Goga, a lot of flexibility between the two, but also the smoke for Hungry. This is a map that can offer a lot to the team, and I'm really wondering where this will go, because I think that the operator ban is going to have more of an effect on this matchup than people might give it credit to. But what do you guys think at home? Again, you can vote on these matches and who you think will take them on our social media on twitter.com/rainbow6. Where will the pendulum swing this time? It's a pretty close one. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot closer than I would have expected. I mean, actually, I don't really know which of these teams probably would have come out ahead. I mean, probably Vitality, 54% to 37% for Chaos. Chaos definitely seemed to be the team with momentum at the moment. I mean, if you can even really call it that. They still trail Vitality in the standings by a fair margin, but, you know, Chaos, obviously, with their performance against BDS, it didn't really register all that much. The French fans of BDS still aligning behind what was a majority French team in Vitality, still a French org, and still has its French roots. But you look at it and it's like, the map is obviously going to play a major role in this matchup. And with it going to Border is going to be very aggressive. It's going to be very hectic. It's going to be extremely unpredictable. And we'll load up and get ready with our third matchup of the day here. And Chaos, obviously, very pumped about their win on Theme Park against BDS. Vitality looking to avenge their loss, that embarrassing, 0-7 that happened last week, or last Monday, not last week, to Fours.
Yeah, I know. We're still somehow in this rhythm of, that was last week, but yeah, it definitely was only a couple days ago. So maybe Vitality have the time to go through this again, as of course Afi and Delyun, the coaching staff for Vitality, have been working very hard to get them back in shape. And Chaos is trying their best themselves. I mean, the strategies that they were using on Theme Park definitely showed that they were ready for it. And a lot of those strats actually extend pretty well into a map like Border. Border has turned more into open up walls, make sure that you're projecting power outside of the site, especially if playing Armory, for example, rather than what it was in the past, where you were a lot more turtly, you relied on more reinforcements, you relied on more meta windows, for example. So there's Thatcher Capital you mentioned. There's Mute and Valkyrie is the last ban. Not surprising at all there in terms of bans, but the Mute is a big op ban. That's for sure. Very rare one, to say the least, but this denies you the Mute Mozzie combo, which is just so frustrating to play against.
It's going to open up operators to get played that we might not necessarily see. If you can't really rely on a Mute here, Mute is also very strong on defending that top floor when your bomb site is down below. Because most teams will always need control of that second floor every single time they go for any type of first floor take. Mute is extremely good at being able to shut down drones and also just work as breach denial. We don't necessarily always see a Mute be used to stop exothermic charges and all the like going off, especially if there's a Maverick on the board. You can just kind of cut through it. But in reality, it's going to mean that if you're going for any breach denial now, you can't really use a Mute jammer or two and then apply the other two elsewhere. You're going to be using a Bandit or a Kaid most of the rounds, though we have seen some Border without any denial. In the NA playday that we saw on Monday, there were teams that were actually leaving the Armory wall soft and just reinforcing elsewhere to try and waste as much time as possible and make teams commit to an off-site take before they could then turn their sights towards Armory. And it looks like that might be the play here from Chaos. They've got two of the triple panel wall reinforced. They've got an Electric Claw actually being placed below. That's very smart. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a sphere around that. The Electric Claw is on the first floor, and it's just out of sight. Yep. It's on that first floor, and they've shot out some of the bottom floor to try and I guess, trip up Vitality, who's running with the double hard breach combo, but the Maverick obviously being on the board, given the fact that there's a Thatcher ban. Don't be too surprised to see a Maverick here. So he should be able to work to cut through that. They're not going to need to dislodge that Electric Claw as much as they might want to. And since Vitality doesn't have an IQ, they're not really going to be understanding of the Electric Claw being down below unless they drone it out.
Yeah, so Chaos, though, for me, it's just, I love the way that they're projecting. Again, this is projecting power. It's a more of a political military term, but it really applies to this case where you have operators that can stand relatively safe in the back, and just because there's reinforcements and utility in the room next over from them, it means that you still have to watch through them as the attackers. You have to be sure that those are not being used to constantly trip you. So I get it. I love the setup from Chaos. It's really well done. And yeah, that setup from the COD, again, fantastic. Vitality have all the utility for it, but look at Renewals. Oh my, he snipes Hungry right as he's trying to jump out of CCTV. A tiny hole to watch through the hatch. Oh my, that is just a free kill, and one that Chaos kind of should not have gotten, because you're never expecting anyone to be in that position inside of by the beepers. Like, this is just, it makes absolutely no sense.
Hungry had a really rough outing on a previous border matchup. I believe he actually dropped 0 kills at one point, and he had a rough outing on Monday as well. And he's somebody who has often been very highly rated as a player, and he hasn't really found his stride, I think, on Vitality, and the stats really showed that before we actually got in here. Now, I'd mentioned that we leave that armory wall soft from a lot of teams, and well, that's the case here. Is Renewals will pick up his second kill. That armory wall is soft. It's made quick work of by Brede, or at least half of it is, after the Maverick goes to work on it. So actually, my apologies, they didn't leave it soft. It sure looked that way from our very brief perspective, but no, they reinforced it. The Maverick just did the work that was needed. But because of how far back Chaos is playing, there was nobody that you had to worry about as the Maverick. There's only a lone yokai drone positioned watching over that entry, and then this play from secretly by beepers.
Yeah, you don't have to play directly on the wall or inside of the small desk or armor desk. You can play it from this hallway here. Goga will connect with a grenade onto Vito. I think it's going to slow down for just a second.
There's another kill from Vitality, or rather from Red Groove, as he takes out Goga. Down goes Renewals, and it's a 3v2 now, still favoring Chaos. They're very much firmly in the driver's seat, and they'll get the last 2 kills as well. They'll take the very first round. Vitality just looking lost and walking into this very far back defense that was established by Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, Chaos, again, extended their hold. It was all about projecting the power again. I'm going to keep using the term until it really just sticks to people's heads. One thing that I looked at, though, is because they needed the reinforcements to be set in so many specific positions, the defense of Chaos did not have anything to kind of block off that break room, which is often a very important position. It might have actually given Vitality an early pick had they have found, I believe, the smoke that was just walking around between the locations. However, the shield was put perfectly. It's all about conserving your ammo, but also being very conservative in your peaks. You don't have to take engagements you don't need to, and that might be very unfavorable for you. So overall, it's a lot of great restraint being exercised by Chaos to not be over aggressive, and Vitality falling to just some tiny tricks that Chaos are showing. Otherwise, there's nothing special about what Chaos are doing other than just extending a bit beyond the reaches of the site as base. But good to see the Castle in play. Again, Castle, he was good before. Now he's so much better just by adding that secondary shotgun. Secretly running the op, putting barricades everywhere. He got 3 of them. Make good use of them. Plus, again, that secondary shotgun. You can not only barricade and make sure that lines of sight are closed off, but you can open lines of sight and rotations for your team. Chaos are becoming more and more structured with every passing day.
I've been very critical of Chaos in the past, of what I've seen is them kind of being like a middle power, if you want to refer to, war references here. It's very much a middle power in Europe. They've never been a team that's ever really competed at the top. And it's funny because EU has gone through its cycles where, there was a long period of time where it was Ents and Pento way back in the day, and then G2 was at the top, and Ents kind of fell away, and then they became Sisu, and then it was Empire who was at the top, and, Vitality's had some moments where they've looked like a pretty good team, but they've kind of struggled, and then you had Millennium near the top as well, and there's been this very interesting, ebb and flow, and then they had, you had this rogue roster with Na'Vi, but Chaos, who you'd think that they should be owed their turn, they've never really realized that level of potential. And I mean, with the way they played against our BDS, it was quite good. And now the way that they're playing up against Vitality, well, this really could just be that Fours wasn't necessarily by far and away the best team, but just that maybe Vitality weren't as well coordinated. Maybe there's more troubles with Vitality. We don't really know, but they don't really have a trouble there getting the opening pick. It's going to be on a Red Groove. Chaos will find themselves down one, and some tiny bit of damage being done onto Goga as he tries to get this wall open on Armory.
Look at this angle, though, being held by Shate. Again, Chaos are trying to find these awkward angles for attackers to take engagements through, but the grenade perfectly bounced over from Ride. Say goodnight, Shate. That was definitely predicted and timed wonderfully from Vitality. The grenade landing exactly on the mark. You're gonna want to walk in, but I believe that Clyde trick was just set a bit too far for them to deal with. Secretly is gonna get the kill on Astigi as you're now trying to take control of Armory, and finally here comes the cavalry. Soft destruction everywhere for Vitality. Between the sledge and a buck, nothing will be left downstairs. You would love to have a couple of nitro cells, but unfortunately you lost the operators that were bringing you all that utility. And this is a great time for Vitality to set up and go in for the push. Unfortunately, the grenade doing a bit of team damage there. And Vito being off of the site might prove detrimental to Vitality if they don't do anything about him anytime soon.
No, and this is where the real cut and thrust is going to come, and the push that will have to happen from Vitality. But if they don't have the coverage that they really want, they might end up getting gunned down as they try to enter on in. There's 4 frag grenades that are on the board for Vitality. 6 actually make that. And there's another one that gets tossed down. Diffuser being attempted. Goga looks like he'll actually be able to get away with it as nobody's watching. There's Hungry with some coverage. And Chaos had gotten a pick just a couple seconds ago, but it's answered back. Diffuser down makes it more challenging for both Renewals and Vitaline, as Renewals has been a standout performer for Chaos, but his position has been given away. That's an absolute bit of desperation from the Maestro there, and Renewals looking to the left when there was his opponent to the right. You have no information. You don't know exactly where you're going to go. He looked the wrong way. Actually looked to his left, but Hungry was just a little bit deeper. Vitality will answer back, and a lot of that came from their entry. They cleared out the top floor quite well. You mentioned it. There was no C4s. You relinquished control of that top floor far too early if you're Chaos, and nobody bothered to come back to try and grab it again.
Exactly. You needed to spend a bit more time inside of CCTV and Armory. Had you done that, then rotations back onto site would have been definitely possible, just dropping in from archives. Everything's there for you. Unfortunately, you needed to waste around 20 or 30 more seconds. By the around 55-second mark, both the sledge and the buck were on the top floor, and there was nothing to answer back because now we mentioned it during it, and now after the round, both nitro cells had been knocked out. You see Red Groove and Shakti are bringing one each. You would have loved to have those to deal with both the buck and the sledge, and that was the plan from Chaos, at least looking at just what they're bringing to the table. But unfortunately, they messed up earlier, and Vitality capitalized on things. They were very safe in just opening up the floor, and then just pushed in, went for a plant. CC, I plant. This is something we always see from Goga. And yeah, it was just great reaction to know that the site is open and it's clear for them to act. So Vitality definitely proving that they're able to fight back, but Chaos are bringing the right items to the gunfight and to the round. Sometimes, though, you need to spend more time to really burn that time bank away from the attackers, burn more of their utility before you have them coming in into a site or coming in and pushing you with soft breach.
So right back down to Workshop for Chaos, which is funny to see because a lot of teams, especially at the Six Invitational, were actually favoring that bathroom tellers, and we're actually using it as a secondary site a couple times. It was customs that was seen as largely out of favor, but I mean, Ventilation Workshop for Vitality could possibly have just been a fluke maybe for Vitality, or so they think, and that, hey, if we go back here, maybe it might be easier for us to hold off. But Vitality's going to go for the exact same thing as they have before, which is just get the wall open as quickly as you can, and there it goes. Minimal damage being taken from Goga as he now backs away, as the Nitro Cell will not sail on through. He's got an opportunity to now go towards the bottom as he takes a little bit more damage. Not too much, it's just a little bit of a tickle, and he's got the Buck there for support. But your drones are in position right now for Vitality to be able to give away some of the spots that you know that the defenders are playing, and even though that drone inside of Archives isn't giving you any intel visually, you still have the understanding from the audio cues of somebody playing inside a Fountain. Tripling up on frag grenades as well for yet another round as Vitality have tons of soft destruction, and then we'll be able to eat through those ADSs. The frag grenades alone will actually be able to eat the ADSs, not even considering the fact that Bibu can do that as Zofia with her stuns as well as her explosives. So it is funny you mentioned that Wamai could be used here as well, but Chaos is foregoing that and going with a very similar composition to last time.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of this engagement. So many walls have been opened up by the attackers, and there's nothing that you can do about this here. Renewals is going to be felled. Bibu using his positioning here to just open up the walls, and as we saw before, it's about removing those important operators, the two Nitro Cells, off taking control of the top floor. However, I have to say, Chaos have been more successful in this run than they have been in the previous one, and only now is the Buck really able to open things, same for the Sledge. So it's around a 20-second game, close to what you need, but you need to follow up with a kill. A Nitro Cell is going to throw, and it's going to be thrown, it's going to be missed, and Goga's waiting for the call to go in and plant. That's basically what he does all day, every day. So Chaos are maneuvering and putting themselves in post-plant positions, at least in ways where they can deny it, but Bibu's going to fire on all cylinders and find secretly, and Diffuser in the meantime is going to get set. Hungry will take down Shakti as well, as all is being lost here for Chaos, and Red Groove finds himself the last alive. More damage done to him as explosive fire in, and Hungry is going to rattle off the LED5 and finds the connection. Chaos losing the site again. Seems like time is not only the not the only problem. Vitality are really finding their way through this relatively easily.
So maybe we spoke a little too soon with that very first round about, oh, Chaos looks like they're finally finding their way. It's funny because when you see teams go to a bomb site a second time, often their theory is, okay, well, we made a couple little mistakes. Let's tighten them up this time and then we'll get them. Except what happened that round was Vitality are like, hey, we're actually much more comfortable taking this bomb site. Let's take it even faster and even harder than we did last time. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And Chaos were in a worse spot. So I don't really think we might see Ventilation or Workshop next. If Armory proves to be successful here from Chaos, not only do we have a tie game, but then you've got two more sites that need to be tackled by Vitality. Now, if you trade out the first half and you go 3-3, then you can lose one of them or even win one and then play again. But I suspect we're going to see Bathroom and Tellers here. Really, that second floor is where everything was won and lost. And when you're Chaos, on the very first round on Armory, the reason why the second floor was so effective for you was because you had Renewals roaming. You had Renewals able to capitalize off of the fact that Vitality weren't droning together. They weren't necessarily working together. But once Vitality got their footing and were able to take Armory, they did it at a pretty okay pace in the second round. They did it at a much faster pace in that third round. After that happened and you had that control, then Chaos just fell apart. And, whether it was somebody dying early, as you mentioned in that previous round, you had, the Jaeger peeked from inside a Fountain with all those walls opened up, losing the fight to the Zofia of Bibu. You don't necessarily need to be challenging that. The Jaeger can peel off. That's a 50-50 that, if you lose, you now find yourself with half of that top floor control needed lost. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Fountain was essentially given away at that point. And Vitality knew that, and they could continue to push through Armory Wall, and it was really just a slow drip until eventually Vitality were able to just drown out the remaining members of Chaos that were upstairs and then immediately pivot and transition with an abundance of soft destruction. A Sledge, a Buck, two hard destructors, and a Zofia. Like, come on. That floor is going to last 4 seconds.
Yeah, and not only that, but when they find an opportunity, they go for a plant. Goga's wasting no time with it. So it's just not forgetting that the main point of the game is that objective is going for a plant, and that's something that is working very well for Vitality right now. A lot of teams sometimes forget it, and here's exactly what you need to pull Chaos apart even more. It ends up hurting Chaos's morale more than you would imagine too. So Shate's down to 50 HP here, as Vitality actually have lost a lot of drones here. Look at that, 4, 6, 7 drones lost, and there's only 3 left, 2 of them yet to be deployed by Vitality. They're going to be running with limited information, but as long as they're cornering Chaos, that's okay. Goga will take down Renewals, as Vito and Shate have taken a decent chunk of damage themselves. They'll force here Vito back down to customs and bait it in. Bride will confirm the kill, and a huge advantage for Vitality.
Giving up early picks unnecessarily, having your smoke barge out this front door, getting very aggressive. This is Chaos just trying to take the fight to Vitality and losing. That's all it is. And they're doing so largely without any information. That smoke that ran out didn't have a drone up, or rather, if you have a Mozzie on the board, you wouldn't have had a drone up. Didn't have any intel up. Didn't have a Valk cam up. Obviously, Valk is banned. You have nothing up for you to be able to call off of. Either the operators that you need are banned or you're not using them. And he decides to just run out the door, and smoke obviously could be so much more effective at being able to stave off a push from Armory. Chaos is just getting really aggressive and frankly very sloppy here. Vitality don't even really need to play that well. Vitality just need to sit and wait and let Chaos come to them, because they're serving their own deaths up right now on a silver platter.
What is this? Run out from Red Groove. He's spotted. They don't even need to try to deal with him here, as the advantage is fully for the attackers. They don't even know if he doesn't even know where they're at. There's the headshot from Hungry. He'll take down Red Groove, the second one for him. And in the meantime, the diffuser is being planted. God bless Hungry. God bless the squad. Goga is wasting no time getting that diffuser down on the floor, and Shate is left with no utility and all info on him. Goga with the finisher inside a CCTV. Vitality again forcing their way through Chaos. I don't think these defenses are working at all anymore.
No, they're getting more aggressive every single time. You know, it worked on Armory in large part because Renewals was able to catch Vitality off guard. It's the very first round. You know, if it's the first round and you go into a map where there is a rhythm or there is a routine, then you're able to take great advantage of that. Let's go all the way back to the old clubhouse. There was very limited ability for people to rotate because you had the master bedroom and CCTV sides of that top floor disconnected. There was no way to roam unless you had impacts to basically run through 2 soft walls. There was nothing you could do. So on the old clubhouse, nobody would roam. But in a very fabled EG versus Rogue match, there's somebody from Evil Geniuses who hid upstairs and then came back down. Why? Because a lot of times teams don't necessarily invest in as heavy of a drone on that second floor because nobody's ever up there. If you know that nobody's up there, why are you going to waste time droning it? You can leave a drone or two in areas where maybe you can catch somebody coming down later, but it's not something that happens. So in that very first round, you can get away with that. Very first round, you can get away with a spawn peek because nobody spawn peeks. Very first round, you can get away with a weird roam because nobody roams like that, and somebody might not find you. But after that, your opponents are going to know and are going to figure it out and are going to plan for it. And in this case, Vitality very much is planned for it. They have the opening pick in all 3 of the remaining rounds, and then they have the win in all 3 of those rounds because the first pick usually becomes the second pick very quickly because Chaos's idea is to just immediately peek again. But it's not to peek again in support of the player who died, but to peek again just in general. And oftentimes they are so disconnected that you just simply can't draw those numbers out.
Yeah, again, this is a map that historically is very strong for Vitality, even before this lineup that we see today existed. And then you're adding players that are very well known and being super strong on this between Goga and Hungry. Yeah, this performance is not surprising at all. And in the first round, Chaos had a few lucky shots, things that really helped them. Their positioning was great in it, but Vitality found a way to adapt. And this is a completely different Vitality than what we were seeing a couple of days ago play against Fours. Maybe those couple of days were exactly what they needed to fall back into shape. But the game is not over yet. We're not even halfway through it. Shate is going to take a bit of damage, and Goga will go for the same strategy as we saw him go for before. There's nothing that you can do against him in this location and situation. Shate and his Electro Claws won't do anything. Secretly will lose his shield and half of his health, though, from that wonderful grenade downtown from Bride. And you see the roles are being switched up in Vitality. It depends on what you need, not what players are usually quote unquote comfortable with. And so close.
He's
It's so frustrating. Oh my god. He has barely anything left. I'm sure Goga right now is like yelling in 7 different languages.
I think he's a little too far. I think he needs to go at it from the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I mean,
you usually say that to anything, though, don't you, Parker?
Sure. There he goes. He's gonna try again. The problem is that the angle that he needs to combat it from, he's susceptible to getting shot at.
Oh my god.
And I think they're just trying to find the Electroclaw. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe.
He barely has anything.
Maybe they can get it. They got the Electroclaw now. There you go. They were just trying to find the Electroclaw. I guess that's better use, and literally by the skin of his teeth, he has a tiny amount.
Watch as the X-Kairos don't open a good haul here, because they're just bouncing on top of one another. And yeah.
They might be able to. You might be able to crouch in there. Keep in mind that if it's close enough to the ground, you can crouch walk through, and that I think is the intended goal here. I don't know if that yokai drone has been spotted, but with 30 seconds left, a frag grenade from Hungry will connect onto Secretly. Another one gets tossed in. Might have been hit by an ADS. We don't exactly know. It's not immediately evident. That first frag comes in really late. It's a swing from Sandwich. Right underneath, though, is Bibu, and he knows he's lost the floor. Downs one. He gets the confirmed kill, pistol out, and Vitality is full control of the site. But it's a retake up the main stairs. 2 members of Chaos will try to barge on in through Metal Detector. They've got tons of pings because there's still a yokai up. Plant is being attempted. Cannot be finished off, though, as Shate gets downed, and then he's removed from action. Renewal's now in a 1v3. He's down below. He's still got lots of pings. There's, once again, no IQ up. The same lineup continuously ran from Vitality, working very well, but Renewal's position is given away. As he shoots from down below, they know they've got him isolated. Essentially, they've quarantined him on that first floor and practicing good social distancing as every single member of Vitality. They are more than 6 feet away from each other, and Renewals is 6 feet away from them. Down they go as he's shot in the back from Bibu, and Vitality will claim their 4th round in a row.
Now, Vitality definitely on a roll. 4 rounds in attack puts you ahead pretty far. Remember, this is border, so usually one of the most equal maps when it comes to sides, very symmetrical, usually when you're looking at just pure score lines. But Vitality are all over this one. When they're taking a site, you saw how Bibu actually actively pushed through Sandwich. Not only are Vitality taking a site, but they're moving very deep into it. So they make sure that they're covering for their planter as much as they can. And that's something that it's not always easy, but Vitality are feeling confident enough to go for it. And it makes it easier that Chaos are being so passive now, that they're not engaging and staying in positions that have already been tagged and already been spotted by Vitality, so they just swing in and go for the gunfights themselves. So we're going to go into security, and this is not a site that you usually see. I mean, sure, you can say the same thing for Bathroom, but this is definitely the 3rd site, and you would always be going between Armory and Ventilation if you could. But Chaos have not been successful on either one, really, after that very first one victory. And despite Vitality's botched Armory wall take, pretty much with their hard breach, they still were able to walk in. So here the big question is still, how long can you hold on to CCTV and onto Armory? Very similar to how it is for Bathroom. So if you can burn a lot of time off of Vitality, great. You have a larger chance of taking it. However, Chaos have not had the best of luck with that strategy yet.
No, and Customs is a map where, or Customs is a site rather on this map where you will likely still play aggressively up top, and it's going to be a part of the map that I don't really think we've seen Chaos really try to aggressively hold, which is that CCTV monitors part of the map, just directly over top of Customs. And it also tends to be the part of the map where you will struggle the most as attackers to take because, well, you need that part to immediately transition towards a possible plant. This Echo could be as good as dead as Shate gets spotted out, and there goes the drone as Bibu can't control his gun. Oh, what a beautiful shot from Shate. Long range assault. He loses half of his HP and some of the floor gets blown to pieces, but they desperately needed that on Chaos' side to get that opening pick.
So there's the rappel up from Bayday, and he's got to try to put pressure here inside of Sandwich. I don't know if there's any players left. You can fall back at any point in time if you're Chaos and you're hitting the SMG-11, rattling off here from Secretly. Astigi will find the kill on a Vito. The Mozzie taken away. Not sure if he had any utility left in the back pocket, but a kill there nonetheless. Nobody dropping in from the Archives hatch just yet, but the Habana is definitely watching. A bit of pre-fire there from Hungry is going to be forced back. Stigi down to 20 HP. It's a big skirmish between the players here as we hit the minute 15 mark. And Stigi is just waiting for someone to dive down into him from that hatch. How do you even go for this? You need to take control of CCTV, and without it, you're going to face a lot of problems with Vitality.
I'm still very patiently waiting. And, I mean, Customs does also always end up being a site that once you get control of the monitors upstairs, monitors and security, you can start to deal some significant damage. But Red Groove catches Goga looking to the side. There's two other members of Vitality right nearby, and they're just getting absolutely shredded by this unpredictability, and the round is over. All right, well, everybody was lined up in Chaos' spot in very different angles that I don't think Vitality had the wherewithal to drone out. He just simply didn't know where people were, and Renewals, once again, will claim the scoreboard for his own. And Chaos will finally manage to answer back. It had been a while since they were able to put a round on the board, but there you go. They'll swap sides, trailing.
4-2 is, again, a really good amount of rounds, a good number for Vitality heading into the second half. And they're going to go for Armory Lockers as our first site on the second half of the map. Legion picked up, no sixth pick potentially. I like the Goyo pick. It makes a lot of sense. It's very frustrating to deal with it. And you're going to put on the Jaeger as well in support. It's just about layering the Goyo shield, the Volcans, correctly. If you do that, then Goyo is going to be super frustrating to deal with. And putting it usually along that armory wall, you can either reinforce it, reinforce half of it, you can reinforce it in full, or leave it completely soft. It just depends on the strategy you have in mind. But this all falls still into the same strategy of burn time, make sure that the attackers have as little time as possible coming in, because in that way we can exploit the pressure of having 10 seconds left to swing wide and go around the map, go for flanks. This is where the defenders are going to be thriving if they did their homework earlier on, though, in that round.
So what comes of this Vitality defense? Well, they've already made a couple changes. They're not going to be running more than one piece of denial, and it's going to be in the hands of the Kaid. I wonder if we're going to see that same setup that we'd seen previously for that Dark Zero had employed, that we also saw from Space Station, which is where it would be over on the armory wall, up on both parts of the armory wall. But regardless, Chaos is going to just simply work with vertical play. They've changed up the Maverick for the IQ, and they're not going to be running with a sledge either, so less explosive potential on Chaos's side. Secretly, obviously, on the hard breach duty, he's going to wait for the rest of his team to be able to clear it away, and not as many electronic gadgets as you could hope for. You're really only going to have the Electra Claws, the Goo Mines, and the odd ADS being spotted out, but you're going to know where those are without an IQ anyway. So the tools being brought from Chaos are good. You're going to need to put the Buck in position on that first floor to be able to get the pressure on, and try and remove some of the flooring for the defenders, but additionally spot out where those Electro Claws are.
So there's the combat. Oh, Vito's gonna win out against Bebo in the drop, but he takes so much damage in that engagement. I don't know if the Legion was even expecting the Buck to be so close up. There's the run out, and there's the confirmation. Secretly is down, and that's, well, your only Heart Breacher. A lot of damage also has been done to Stigi. Between the Legion being lost and the Thermite, it's kind of an equal trade here between the two teams. But this is just slowing down Chaos even more.
Picks big as well on the Secretly. That's huge, is by taking out their hard breach, right? And you've now basically got armory wall, as long as it hasn't been opened up, in really good spot for you to just simply hang on. Additionally, now that you've lost both members of Chaos in terms of Vito and Secretly, that floor is going to be a little bit safer. Ash still has one piece of utility left, and there's only the possibility of 4 drones that could be in play, but there goes Shate. So it sure seems like Chaos are not droning, even if they've got them at their disposal. There's still a minute left. They really could be on drone here But instead, you'll just have Renewals walk in and take the head off of Stiggy, though it's not credited as a headshot. Sure looked like we were hitting him in the neck. Up Renewals will go towards the top of the stairs, but he'll have to vault over one of those deployable shields before he'll be able to get on in. That'll leave Red Groove outside, looking to push in a separate direction. ADS burning out the projectile, or rather the shot that we would have seen from the Ash, and leaving the final 30 seconds now is likely going to be a brawl, and the only real opportunity for Chaos to win it.
Not sure if there was any breach charge left, but the smoke is going to come out to try and slow Renewals down as he's forced into 90. Zofia opening up the sidewall here from Office, entering into the site. And the angle is perfectly held here by Bride. He falls off of it, though. And just the wrong moment. Maybe, yes, it's the Ash of Renewals that wins the gunfight. And Hungary around the corner, getting the information. Shotgun in hand for the finisher on the Ash, all onto Red Groove. He has the shotgun, and he's going to force the gunfight. Oh, and the gunfight is all Red Groove. The RG-15 is more than enough in Chaos. Secure the round out of nowhere. All you had to do was just sit back, and Red Groove knew it was about what he does in the moment that might win or lose the round for his team, and running up, taking the gunfight was not something that I think Hungary expected there.
No, Hungary misplayed that immensely in the final 2 seconds, and I know that there are people who aren't, there are people who are going to respond to that angrily, but really, the moment that he died and the call came that the shot was from inside of Archives, at that point, you just need to pop up once. One single shotgun blast to the chest of Zofia is good enough, and it looked like an extremely delayed reaction from Hungary. And the way that shotgun hits is that you can level somebody at chest level, head level, etc. As long as you're hitting center mass from about 10 feet away, you're probably going to do a good job, or maybe a little bit less than 10 feet. Maybe 6-7 feet, which is definitely where that doorway was. Hungary easily could have popped up and just taken that fight. But additionally, the other member of Vitality, and I think it was it Bibu that tried to engage in the fight through the small office. They didn't really need to peek out. They tried to peek at both at the same time to try and distract the members of Chaos. It didn't really, I think, work out the way they wanted it to. But if you're hungry at that point, you can just kind of back up a little bit, or even push up and just try to catch the Zofia before she can rotate on in. Very well played by Red Groove. That is just a massive amount of pressure that's put on somebody's shoulders when there's only a second or two left on the clock. So, well played, I guess, by Chaos, but that really should have been a Vitality round.
Definitely so. So, in here, Red Groove, yet again, is going to win a round for Chaos. I mean, it's just so many times where you remember these clutches from Red Groove, where there was one that I'll never forget, on defense, jumps out of a window, gets one kill, nitro cell chucked at the top to find another one on coastline. I mean, the man is an acrobat, and in that case, he definitely jumped around to find that last kill, the RG-15. Out of ammo, there was only one thing that you can do: go for the fight, and well, he won it. It was well done by him. The reflex is what you usually rely on in these tight situations. Vitality are going for a site that was not working too well for Chaos, to say the least, when they were on the defense here inside of Ventilation and Workshop. And Renewals and the rest of Chaos are wasting no time spreading out on that bottom floor. But still, as we saw with how Vitality were attacking, it's more about how much you're able to pressure from Armory and from Archives. So I don't know how long it's going to take for Chaos to take control of that, but it's very possible they might not even pressure through there and just go in for a play on site. As you see, Vito and the Ash of Renewals are kind of prepping to go to Workshop.
It's been a minute and a half out here, and I think this is probably the slowest round that we've seen so far, in large part because Vitality is playing very uniformly. A frag grenade will get tossed in, it hits Hungary for quite a bit of damage, there goes another one, and it does a little bit to Bride, and that's about it. So Vitality weathers that grenade storm. There's still two more possibly in the hands of Shate. No, he's actually used them, so you might have cleared out those ADSs, but you're gonna have to be very careful now if you're Red Groove, because it looks like you might be the only person left with any real utility to take out Goyo shields, castle barricades, etc., unless the sledge gets close enough.
Mr. Knowles walking into Workshop. He's unsure yet. He needs information from his teammates, and you see Chaos have lost a lot of drones so far, so they got to be careful, as Goga will find one on Red Groove, but Shate with immediate refrag on the head of Goga. There's the Ash turning the corner, but it's Hungry ready with the SMG-11, and now Chaos are turning their attention to that top floor, but it's too little too late Vitality have pretty much successfully held on to this, as all they got to do is just sit tight. Secretly down below, Shakti's going to move in. He knows that there's somebody lurking inside of Archives, but he doesn't know what to do against them, and the shield is just blocking. There's the Goyo shield being popped, and a lot of damage done to Secretly. Stigi will confirm the kill Bride with one more, but Shate is able to find a kill of his own on Bride. How much of an effect will this have? I don't think much, to be honest. 3 players left. They know exactly where he is, and he runs the corner right into the shotty from Hungry. Hits with the M59. Vitality now leading the way.
Hungry bouncing back, I think, admirably after his what could have definitely been a big mistake and one that threw him off mentally for the rest of the game, but he recovers with an immense amount of grace. So here they are holding control of that first floor, answering back. And honestly, I think a lot of it might have just been, we didn't get to see every single application of every single frag grenade, every single explosive, etc., that was used by Chaos, but it sure looked like they didn't go in the places they needed them to. You've had 4 frag grenades be used. You've had 2 ash charges be used. And all that's happened is Hungry has taken a little bit of damage and a tiny bit of damage has been done to Bride, and that's been about it. Now, maybe you were able to take out Goyo shields and barbed wire above. I'm not entirely certain, like I said, exactly how they were applied because we didn't get the viewpoint of every single member of Chaos, but it sure looked like it was an almost haphazard application of those grenades and etc. that really could have been used better. Also bear in mind that the utility soak that's happening right now from Vitality isn't really a utility soak. You have 3 Goyo shields and 3 ADSs. Yes, that's a lot. That can potentially eat up 9 throwables, projectiles, etc. That's certainly not as much as if there was a Maestro on the board. There's certainly not as much as if there was a Wamai on the board, and teams are still able to navigate those without giving up vital pieces of their kit. So, regardless.
As Vitality in with these Goyo shields again, it's always like Vitality are doing this similar to what Chaos were on their defense, that they're always putting a shield in the center of the hallway, basically just covering the beepers into armory, and this time they're just putting Goyo shield as they did in the previous round instead of just putting a standard shield. So you can play from behind it, give yourself info, but also pop it if you really need to slow down the attackers. If they're pressuring you or something, it's just something that you can, you know, Zoidberg your way out of sight with. Exactly. I need to rewatch the show, to be honest. It's so good.
It's probably that was a poor man's Zoidberg, but hopefully people appreciate it nonetheless.
I appreciate it. It was very good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
So here we are. Goo mines being placed also alongside the balcony. It's Red Groove will take a bit of damage there. A tick is all that he's gonna get. And the sledge firing all the way here. Vito. And spotted Renewals using his rifle. Very smartly done there. He's going to check the half wall, and there's nobody sitting behind it. So he's just going to fall back. A big kill onto the Legion. Not sure if Bibu was able to really deploy too many of his goo mines, but more importantly, how far away from the site are they, or how well positioned are they before he got taken out?
Throwing flashbang.
Legion is still seeing a decent amount of picks, despite the fact that he got a very substantial nerf, and I think a much-needed nerf, but at the same time, still very, very large. You know, he now loses his line of sight of the goo mines, you know, or he loses the little icons if he loses line of sight of them, or if he's too far back. They don't do initial damage anymore. They're still great for giving away information, and they are still very important from an intel gathering perspective, but he's certainly not in the position that he was in.
There's more drones coming in. Vito and the rest of the squad here at Chaos are trying to save as many of these drones as humanly possible. Again, it's very important to watch the UI. We are watching it, but we won't always mention it. And those drones are going to be very important as the timer here ends. You know there's a player in the back, and you cannot fire at the top of the back of the operator. So it's just utility kind of protruding. You know it's the Goyo. It's so frustrating. Ah! Stop moving! Stayed still for a second there. The Goyo is just still looking down. Goga is gonna walk out finally, and a lot of damage has been done so secretly with the TCSG. At least right now, Vitality with 3 players versus the 4 and low HP, and secretly might be able to bring this one back. But Red Groove and Shate are poised to bring this one to Chaos's side, and unfortunate for Bride as the TCSG does not connect with Vito. There is the SMG-11 for Vito coming up last minute on the staircase. And Chaos are really fighting back in this one.
Yeah, very well played by Chaos, and what is now looking to be a very defined attacker favored match between these two teams. And if you look at that Goyo fight, by the way, it was his little backpack that was sticking up, not his head. And then, of course, it has no hitbox, so they're trying to shoot at the little backpack on him, and it's like you can't really do anything because it passes right through. And I can imagine the frustration that was coming in from the IQ, but still, you've got him isolated, and you've got him isolated. And if you're running the TCSG, it hits very differently online than it does when we're playing on LAN. When a match is being played on LAN, the TCSG is far more accurate. There's way less issues that might arise with latency, with ping, with hit registration, tick rate, etc. The game is obviously more responsive when you're playing against somebody who is, a single millisecond away rather than, 60 or more, or however many there may be in a matchup. So you really have an opportunity as a defender to hit maybe 1 or 2 shots when you're going up against a gun like the Commando, and that's all you've got. And you really got to feel for the Goyo, but he was still able to, I think, get one or two shots off. I think just one before he was removed from action. But Chaos basically just encircled the site and clamped down and didn't really worry too much about what Vitality was doing on that first floor. They circled from over on Armory, and then they pushed on in from the top of Beepers and had some control over towards the B-bomb site as well over on Archives. So ultimately, it was a very good spread from Chaos. The problem with that is that unless everybody's doing everything that they are intended to do and droning out effectively, is that you are in no position to refrag your teammates because most of the time you're so spread apart. So things could have gone very badly very quickly. In this instance, they did not. Everybody seemed to commit quite well to exactly what they needed to do. And when you get your job done the way that they did, it makes very easy work. There were still 4 members, I believe, of Chaos that were left alive because they won their gunfights and there was no pressure from Vitality.
Shate again on the balcony here, walking into CCTV. And in the meantime, Vito is pressuring in from the east stairs. He's going to go and open fire down into vents and workshops as we saw him before. At least that's what I'm expecting. Yeah, same thing as before. They know what's up here, Kath. They know that Vitality are always setting one player inside of ventilation, and they want to get rid of that player ASAP. We see that, for example, from a team like Empire playing on this map, is that they bring Karacheka on the buck and they have him just walk around downstairs with a drone in support. And it works well to remove that player from play and then come in, destroy or buck the floor from below, put pressure on Armory. That's the strategy that Empire likes to use. But again, you can do it with any other operator. Sledge would work well with it. You got grenades as well. You can use the Ash. You can use the Sofia. Anything runs with it. But there's a thermite charge opening up Armory. And they're just wasting no time here, getting the checklist done and dusted so Chaos can come in and push on the site.
So a job well done by Chaos in terms of timing as they look to head on in as best as they can. And their jab is positioned so that if anybody's playing behind half wall, you can shove them off. Curious that there's no drone work that's being done, as now an air jab as well as a breaching charge are used, or a breaching round, but nobody's there. That's 2 pieces of utility that are expended by Chaos that a drone could have been successful on. And well, I mean, there's still plenty of drones on the map right now. It looks like Shate and Renewals both haven't taken any of their pocket yet. Unless there was a mute jammer, a pest in play, you don't have to. I could understand it, but there's no mute jammer on the board because mute is banned, and there's no pest that would stop that breach hole that's now been made. So I'm very confused by Chaos here, and they seem to be stalling out. First pick is going to go to or rather had gone to Chaos, but now you see another that comes out, this time on a Vito. It's an answer back from Chaos, and they don't have a lot of time left. Only 20 seconds. They'll barge on in through the smoke. C4 connects. There goes Renewals. 3v3, secretly getting the plant down. Members of Vitality starting to funnel on in. Shate will pick up 3 big kills on the round, looking for another as there's constant pings going down to the feet of Bibu. He takes the head off of Shate. Great shot by him. There's another person lined up in that position. He knows it, but he cannot out-duel secretly. And we're all tied up. We're going to need all 12 rounds. There's still possibility for a winner here, as one of these teams will sit on match point at the conclusion of the next round. But Chaos have really been doing a great job of answering back. Very well done. As they've been leading in opening picks, they've been doing great with the objective. They almost got it down in the previous round too.
I really think the biggest round winner for both teams, either it was Vitality or Chaos on their attack when it comes to Armory, is the fact that they're pressuring on Sandwich Window. Once you have that sort of pressure done, then you can come down and plant relatively easily and just section off rotations. You can only force utility to be thrown to deny the plant. And that's exactly what happened. The Ash caught it in this case, but it's an Ash loss. It doesn't matter. It was enough coverage and enough time to get the plant down. And the C4 missed the most important thing, which is the planter. It did a lot of damage, but it wasn't enough to deny the plant from being set down.
Well, the Armory experiment has now failed twice in a row, very similar to what we saw out of the Workshop experiment from Vitality, or from Chaos rather, when they were on defense, and Vitality loved that. Now Vitality, after committing sort of the same mistake by going to Armory again, even though I wouldn't really call that a mistake, are now going to go downstairs to Workshop. The site opens up again. It is the lone site that has been won by Vitality so far on defense, and Chaos have just been better on Armory. They got Diffuser down, I guess you could say twice, because a half second later Vitality would have, or Chaos would have gotten it down if Vitality hadn't pushed at the very final second. So Chaos would have walked away with that Diffuser going down if it weren't for Vitality dying moments before. That's 2 Diffusers down, 3 rounds of opening picks, and 3 victories for Chaos. That's massive. And it has been all on the same site. If I'm Vitality, you need to change things up a little bit sooner, because now you're almost at the end of your rope here when it comes to this matchup. And Vitality definitely looked like the better team through the first half, but I think now we've just decided it's an attacker-favored map. The real question is going to be, can Vitality manage to eke out another round victory? Because if so, then at worst they draw. They desperately need points, so do Chaos. A victory here for either of these teams is huge, but honestly, at the point we're at in the season, I think a draw here would be considered a loss for both of these teams.
Pretty much. When you get to the second half of the season, draws are almost as bad as a loss. You get 1 point, and your opponents only get 1 as well. A lot of times it's because you played the same team that you played in the first half, and maybe they won against you in the first half, and so the draw, it compounds itself even more as more of a loss than, just, hey, we got a point out of it. So it's not really worth the 1 point you get. You really should be aiming for the W, and every team knows this. We call this a negative draw in sports, so it makes a lot of sense that you would be gunning for the 7-5 victory here. You do need to chain 2 rounds after one another, so pressure is on for these 2 teams. A tiny mistake can cause just a catastrophic failure. Skoga will be the first one. Fell to Stigi, refrags, double tapping on to Vito, but it's going to get dropped on the floor in the meantime, I believe by Secretly there spraying through the wall, and will not get picked up anytime soon inside a Fountain. There's the finisher on to Stigi from the Zofia that just came into archives for just a moment, and finding today's renewals. So site is getting opened up as walls are going to get breached, with Hungry at least getting a refrag on renewals and slowing things down for a bit of chaos. But this top floor is pretty much lost for Vitality.
The Jaeger has to swing at that point, because Bibu's only way down is going to be the hatch that may or may not be opened up. On a Ventilation Workshop defense, teams usually do open her up, so it wouldn't be too surprising. There goes the bulletproof camera that was very intently watching the members of Chaos do their work from above, secretly getting the bomb down, or the diffuser down, by the bomb site. And there goes 2 members of Chaos, 3 members of Chaos, all members of Chaos. All right, well, Vitality. Oh my, they were on such a deficit, and they managed to earn that one by Chaos just getting a little too hasty and getting caught with their pants down in the post plant.
I don't even know what happened there. Just in 3 seconds, everybody fell apart from Chaos. They had the advantage to walk in, but Vitality just kind of, well, the couple players that are still left just kind of waltzed their way in and collected kills. Diffuser planted, be damned, that's not going to do anything. But with that performance, it still means that a tie is a very high probability. And we don't want to talk again about why a tie is actually a negative thing in this case, way more than what you might imagine. Vitality looking for the 7-5 victory at the end of the day. And they're going to bring the Echo for this one. A 6th pick to the Mira. And it's really weird, Parker. We did not see Mira banned in an EU Pro League match on border out of all maps in 2020. And it's finally being recognized that, hey guys, we can like actually play this operator and set our defense around it. It's so weird to say this. Like, Mira has been such a consistent ban in Europe. Well, Jazir, I'm really curious as how you set up those windows now, because I definitely was not expecting this site in particular in inspections to be the one that you bring the op on, and Stiggy is going to take a bit of damage early on, which just does not bode well.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. But you ask how a Mira is going to be set up, it's usually inside of monitors. There's probably going to be a Mira placed under 90 on that one reinforced panel that you see in the top right-hand side of your screen, which is just a little bit to the left. You have to rotate it to the left. It's not really visible right now. Up. It's under 90, the other one. No, he's not. Okay, no, it's like, okay, no, okay, wait, that's fine. Okay, cool, it's whatever, it's fine. We'll just go over here anyway. Cool, very cool, smart, yeah, toy. But anyway, it's likely going to have a mirror window up top watching 90, which means that any real entry that's going to come from over on the east side of the building towards east stairs is going to be all for naught and is going to be caught out. But I think the plan right now from Chaos is, hey, let's just go in. This is very quick work that they're doing, and they're trying to open things up and go for broke as fast as they can. 30 seconds, they've already got the wall. You can see from the Vitality lineup, the Electric Claw is the only thing that could work for denial here. You've got Jail opened up. You'll go on to Drone. Maybe you'll try to push somebody out of the CCTV/monitors, depending on who's playing up there. We see a silhouette, so we know somebody's up there. There's also one member of Vitality that's also playing an Armory, so yeah, I mean, you've done a very, very good job already as quickly as you have if you are Chaos, but there's so much more to do on a site like Customs here. But if you can take control of CCTV, then you find yourself in really good shape.
Yeah, there's one of the Mira windows that has been set up. You need some top floor control to deal with it, but the Chaos have been struggling with that overall. So the more time that gets burned off, you know, if by the minute mark you're not actively pushing CCTV and taking control of break room, the more the chances of Vitality winning this round go up. So there's some Nomad air jabs that have been put down, and Redgroove is doing his job well. Shot is going to enter into archives and watching very closely as Renewal is going to find Stiggy and then fall back into ventilation for just a second. A big kill here on the Mira, specifically because you're losing that Nitro Cell, which would have been awesome to use as the round gets late. 2 more should be normally left with Bride and Hungry. Shields are everywhere as breach charges will go off and destroy a lot of what's left really of the sites and open more holes for the attackers to use. But again, look at the CCTV. It's so difficult. And a 1-on-1 trade between Secretly and Goga, but Vita will walk in. Redgroove will find another one. This is looking a lot more like a trade and a 6-6 tie at the end of the day, as Bride is the last man alive. He's got a Nitro Cell with no support whatsoever. This was not the site to go for, if you ask me. And there's the last kill. Vitality is going to bag that pizza and take it home. Oh my, Chaos is going to tie it 6-6.
And like I said, statistically or stats-wise, if you look at the standings, this is in large part a major loss for Vitality.
Yep.
Chaos entered the day in 6th. They were presently 7th. They pick up 1 point. They will be once again toe-to-toe with 4s.